If you're ready for some more harsh truths about why you might be stuck with your GED test prep, then this is the video for you. Hi, this is Parker from Test Prep Champions, teaching you how to pass the GED fast. You can get started by clicking subscribe down below. So a little while ago I made a video about some harsh advice that I gave out that is kind of tough love. That's how you can think of it, because I want to help people pass the GED. That's why I make this channel. That's why I make videos. And so sometimes, there are just times in your life when you just need somebody to be honest with you, and maybe you're stuck, maybe you're in a slump, or maybe your GED test prep is not progressing as fast as you wish it would, and you're just not sure what to do. And so, rather than just having somebody encourage you and just tell you, keep going, keep going, keep going, I'm going to tell you, keep going, don't give up, but I'm also going to tell you some truths that might be holding you back here. So in my last video, I think it was a 6 or 7 point checklist with different things that to help you figure out what you're getting stuck on and how to move past it. And so in this video, I want to kind of do that same type of thing here, but really, I'm just going to get right into the video. And so the first thing that may be holding you back is your attitude. And so your attitude is so important. And so I'm not telling you to be positive all the time. That's not realistic, okay? I'm telling you to be realistic. So, there's going to be ups and downs with your GED studying, just like in life, there's going to be ups and downs, but you have to be positive. You've got to have a good attitude. You have to have the attitude that this is going to be a positive experience and that eventually you're going to pass the GED test. Maybe today you're failing your practice test. Maybe things aren't going well with your studying and you're stuck and you're lost, but you've got to have that attitude that things are going to get better, and you've got to expect that things will get better. So I want you to really adopt the attitude that you're going to expect the best and then plan for the worst. So I'm not telling you to be unrealistic here. So if you go out and you take a practice test and you fail it, okay, don't go schedule your test because you're probably not ready to do that. So I'm not telling you to delude yourself and just be so positive and to think so positive that you delude yourself if you're really not doing well with your studying. But what I am telling you is that you got to try to have a more positive attitude about what you're doing. I don't expect everybody to love math, okay? Math can be really boring, it can be really hard to learn, and it can be really, really frustrating. At times, very, very, extremely frustrating, excruciatingly. But you got to do it to get past the GED test. So it's you can either accept it that you've got to do it, and you can look at it as a challenge or an opportunity to take down something in your life that maybe this has slipped through your fingertips. Maybe you were never that great at math before. Maybe back in high school you hated math and you couldn't stand it, but now you've got to master it at least well enough to pass the GED test. So you can either look at it as, oh man, this is a drag, this is awful, this is horrible, or you can look at it like, maybe I don't love math, maybe I'm never going to love it, maybe this is a drag, maybe this isn't the first thing I'd rather be doing with my time right now, but I know that it's really important for me to pass the GED and move on with my life, so I'm going to try to have a better attitude about it, and I'm going to try to see it in a more positive light, and I'm going to try to look at it as a challenge and as an opportunity for me to grow and learn some new things and just really develop myself as a person, because I'm going to be taking down math, which has been a stumbling block for me for my life for a long time. And so really just depends how you look at it. You can look at things like the glass is half empty or the glass is half full. And again, I'm not telling you guys, I'm not telling anybody out there to be delusional. I'm not telling you to just be so into this positive thinking stuff that you just, overlook the fact that maybe you're failing your practice test or things aren't going so well. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying you want to have a positive attitude, but be realistic. If things are going bad, then acknowledge it and say, things aren't going as well as I'd hope with my studying, but things are going to get better. So expect that things are going to get better and expect that you're going to be able to pass someday, and a plan for what you're going to do if things don't go well, because there are going to be bumps in the road. So just because maybe you fail a practice test, or you go and you take the test and you fail a real test, it's like I want you guys to have the attitude and the mindset that there are going to be ups and downs. If things go really smoothly and you study for a couple weeks and you go in and pass and you move on with your life right away, then good for you. But for most people, it just doesn't work that way, okay? Some people can pass the GED test in a matter of days or in a week or two of studying, but most people can't. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. That's another thing when I talk about being realistic, is to be realistic with your expectations for how long it's going to take for you to pass the GED test, right? So a lot of people, they're looking for a quick solution and they're looking to pass in a week or two. And so I feel kind of torn with the advice that I give sometimes on this channel, because the truth is that yes, some people can pass in a couple days or in a week or in a few weeks. Some people can do that, and people do that. Okay, I'm not saying some people can do that. It's because some people do that. That is just a fact, okay? But very, very few people do that, okay? And I'm not saying that anybody that's watching this video is not capable of doing that, but in order to pass the GED in a couple days or in a week or two, you're going to have almost unlimited time to study. So if you've got other obligations like a family or, a job or things like that going on in your life, you're probably not going to be able to do it that fast. And also some people who have maybe left high school more recently, they might have a better time because things will be fresh in their mind. It might be easier for them to do that. And some people are just more disciplined and they're better, they're more focused, and so they're just able to sit down and just clear out their head and just calm their mind and sit down and just work on their GED studying and block out all distractions and just do it for hour after hour after hour for a few weeks until they mastered enough material to just go straight in and go do it, okay? Some people are able to do that, but most people just aren't able to do that just because, they don't have the discipline or they just don't have the focus to do it. And maybe if you are disciplined and you do have the focus, you still might not be able to do it because sometimes it just takes people more time. Like I said, time is really important if you want to pass as fast as possible. You do need a lot of time, okay? You can't just study here or there for, a few hours a day. If you want to pass one subject, like maybe math, in a couple weeks, studying 2 or 3 hours a day, that could be realistic depending on your skill level with math. I would say that for many people should probably double or triple that, okay? You could probably expect to spend a month or 2 months on math if you have a really, really weak math foundation, or maybe even more than that. But for some people, they'll be able to go through in a couple weeks. But really the point here that I want to make is that you just have to be realistic with the fact that some people are able to go through it really fast, but most people are not. So I don't want you to get this unrealistic expectation that you're going to be able to pass in a week or a few weeks without putting that much work into it, okay? The people that pass really fast, they've got to put a lot of work into it, but like I said, there's other reasons why they're able to pass fast. Maybe they can put a lot of time in, maybe they dropped out of school recently, or maybe they're just the type of person that for whatever reason, they're just very ordered and they're very focused and they're very disciplined, and they're also just quick learners and they can put things together really quickly and figure things out fast. Some people are just like that, okay? It's not most people, some people are like that. And so those type of people, they can pass really fast, but the majority of people are not like that, and that's perfectly okay. If it takes you a whole year to pass the GED test, it takes you a year to pass the GED test. Some people, it does take them a year to do it, okay? It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how smart you are. It's just some people are better at taking the information out of a textbook and out of videos here and there and putting it all together and just going in and figuring out what they have to do to pass the test. Some people are just better at doing that than other people. It's not necessarily that they have any more brain power. It's not necessarily that they're even smarter. It's just, that's just the way some people are. Like, they just kind of understand how to kind of play the game, so to speak, how to just kind of just put everything together that they need to know and pass the GED test. Some people are just good at doing that. Some people, they aren't. And, you just have to be realistic with where you're at with your GED studying. If you're only able to put in a few hours a week, then don't expect to pass in a few weeks. Expect that it's going to take you a couple months probably to pass all the sections, maybe even 3 to 6 months or longer, if that's all you've got to put in. So if you're only able to put in a few hours a week, then you just have to be realistic with how long you can expect to have to wait to pass the GED test, all right? So that's another thing. Be realistic. People have unrealistic expectations about the amount of time that they have to put in and also about the amount of work. So I'm not going to lie, it's really hard to pass the GED test if you're not going to put a lot of work in. The more work that you put in, the easier it's going to be to pass, and I just wish people would really understand that. And another thing that I see that really holds people back is just kind of looking for these magic bullets or quick tricks and hacks and shortcuts, and I feel kind of torn about that because I teach a lot of tricks and hacks and shortcuts, and so some people, though, like they don't ever learn the foundational skills that they need to. So people who have been kind of grinding away trying to learn math and who have been at it for a couple weeks or even a couple months, and they feel like they still haven't made progress, when they come along and they see a video that shows them some shortcuts and tricks and hacks, they say, oh wow, like this is so much easier, I get it now, and it kind of puts things into perspective, and they're able to take those hacks and those shortcuts and they're able to use them and apply them to pass really fast. So it's kind of a catch-22 here, because in order to be able to really appreciate those shortcuts and those hacks and those tricks, you've already got to be grinding away, and you have to already be able to work out your foundation. So if you're struggling with basic math and your basic foundational math skills, I can show you tricks and hacks and shortcuts all day long, but you're not going to be able to understand them, and you're probably not going to be able to apply those unless you have a really firm grasp of the basics. So that's another thing, work on the basics first, get the basics, get the foundations down, and then the tricks and the hacks and the shortcuts, those are going to make so much more sense to you. They're going to help you move along so much faster, okay? And so really, guys, you just have to be realistic about the amount of time it's going to take to pass, and also that, tricks, hacks, and shortcuts, like I just said, Those are all great, but those are great if you've already been working hard and you've already been busting it, and now you're feeling stuck and you need a new perspective, or you just need a way to just improve your score really quickly. If you're starting from zero, if you're starting from basically no foundational knowledge and you have no idea what you're doing, yeah, I can show you some tricks, hacks, and shortcuts, but you've got to sit through a whole entire test. You've got to sit through that math section, all right? You've got to sit through 46 different questions, all right? Just knowing a couple, a handful of tricks and hacks and shortcuts that you saw in my YouTube videos, you're not going to be able to get 46 questions right. You're not even going to be able to get 22 or 23 right, probably, if that's all you know is a couple of tricks and hacks you learned from some YouTube videos, okay? You have to have a good foundational knowledge. Once you've got a good foundational knowledge, yeah, throw some tricks, hacks, tips in there, and you're going to boost your score a lot. So don't get me wrong. The hacks and the tips and the tricks, the shortcuts, those are all fantastic, and they will help you boost your score, and you should know those if you want to score well or even pass, because they can make the difference between passing and failing, but they're only going to make the difference between passing and failing if you have good foundational knowledge, guys. There's no way to cheat the system, all right? There's hacks and shortcuts, yeah, you're going to be able to boost your score if you understand the basic stuff. All right, which brings me to another point here, which is, nobody can predict exactly what's going to be on the GED test. And this is another point that I really, really wish people would understand, because it would really help them pass a lot faster if they just only understood that there's no way that you can predict exactly what's going to be on that GED test. Just because you watch a video where you go through some practice problems in a book and you learn how to do a problem or two here or there, just understanding how to do, a handful of problems, that's not going to be good enough. You have to understand, the topic behind each question. So I could show you a practice problem right now, or I could give you an example of, a word problem or something. And it's like, just because you know how to get that word problem right and how to get that answer, just because you can follow along in a book or follow along in a video where someone shows you how to get that answer, if you really don't understand that topic, and if you don't have that deep foundational knowledge of, what's going on in that word problem and how to think strategically and how to break these problems down, if all you know how to do is say, okay, I can follow along someone on YouTube when they show me how to do that problem, and then you just go into the test and then you just expect that you're going to be able to get a bunch of questions right, it's not going to work. You have to have a deeper understanding, so when you're going through problems, it doesn't matter what it is, fractions or slopes or decimals or word problems, which a lot of the tests will be word problems, by the way. Okay, whenever you're practicing them, you've got to make sure that you understand not just that single question. You have to make sure that, even if you get the question right, you have to really ask yourself, can I get similar questions right in the future? Because if you can't do that, if you don't really understand the topic, you're going to be dead in the water on the GED test, because the GED test, you're going to get new problems, all right? Now, there's going to be patterns. If you practice a lot and you do a lot of practice tests, then yes, there are going to be patterns. So if you do a lot of those GED ready practice tests and you practice from different prep books and from different videos, you will see similar problems on the test, okay? But they're not going to be exactly the same. So my point here is that, practice problems are great, and watching people walk you through practice examples, that's all well and fine, but you really have to understand the whole entire topic, not just how to do, some problems here and there. So, for example, if you're watching one of my math practice quizzes where I show you different kinds of problems and stuff like that, it's not good enough just to say, okay, I know how to get number 1, I know how we did number 2, like I understand number 3. You have to really understand that whole entire topic, because it's like, you're probably not going to get a question that's just like that on your test. In fact, I know that you're not going to get that same exact question, because these questions I made up based off of questions that you're likely to get on the test. So you've got to understand the whole entire topic. It doesn't matter if it's my videos. It could be other videos on YouTube, other YouTube channels. It could be any book, like a Kaplan book or any other book, okay? Just looking through problems and saying, okay, let me look at number 4, and you try number 4, and you go to the back of the book and you see how they did it and how they explained how it was done, and you just say, okay, like I understood how they get that problem. Guess what? That exact question, okay, is not going to be on your test most likely. You might get something similar, but you have to really make sure that you understand, the principles and the strategy behind that question. So you guys just have to go a little bit deeper with your knowledge and your understanding. It's not good enough just to understand some questions, or how to do it when somebody's walking you through it or when somebody's showing you how to do it with a solution. Okay, you have to really understand the topic at a deeper level, and a lot of that just comes from practice and doing a bunch of different types of questions here. So don't get me wrong, practice is always good, but you've got to make sure that you understand not just how to get each question, but you really want to understand the whole entire topic. I mean, you should, if you want to get a really, really high score, not just a passing score, but if you want to obliterate your score on the test and get a really, really, really high score, what you really need to do is you need to understand a question so well that you can teach somebody else, or give a little mini lecture, or teach a little bit, you want to know it so well that you can teach a class or teach, a lecture on how to do not just that question, but, that whole entire topic. You need to be able to explain that if you want to get a really, really high score score well enough to get college credit, okay? Because you can get college credit if you score really, really well on the GED test. You can do so well that you get in the college ready plus credit range, which means that at certain universities, okay, you can actually get college credit early. Some people score in that range just because they understand the math really, really well. There's different ways to prepare to get in that range, but look, if you really want to score just so well that you blow your test away, you've got to understand the stuff, at a deeper level. You got to know it like the back of your hand. Just knowing how to get some questions right, that's not good enough. You got to get questions right on the test, but understand that all the practice problems that you're doing and all that practice that you're doing, just knowing how to get those questions right, if you don't understand the topic well enough to be able to get similar questions right in the future, then you're dead in the water. So you guys just have to go a little bit deeper. And another thing is, don't make assumptions that, something is not important or something's too easy. That's another thing is when it comes down to attitude. A lot of the reason why people can't pass the GED test sometimes, it comes down to humility. Like, people's lack of humility really does hold them back. And like I said at the beginning of this video, this stuff may sound a little harsh, but I'm just telling people the truth here. Sometimes your attitude or your lack of humility. I mean, if you see an easy question on your test, understand that there are going to be some easy questions on the test, guys, if you're well prepared. And some people, when they're taking their test, they see an easy question and they feel like they're all high and mighty because the first couple questions on their test, they think, oh, this is easy. Like, this is so easy. Like, this is below me. I'm taking the GED test. And you know what happens? They hit the middle of the test and all of a sudden they get all these really hard questions and they just get blown out by the test and they come home, with their tail between their legs, so to speak, because they just got annihilated by the test. So, if you get easy questions on your test or in practice, be grateful for them. Don't spend all your time on easy questions, but don't think that you're above easy questions. Don't think that you're above basic questions. If you see other people that are asking easy questions, try to help them out. If you see them in the comments, not just on my video, but just in general, if you're taking a class or something, if you see other people that are struggling, help them out, lift people up. Don't just say, oh, that's an easy question, I already know that, like I'm better than you or I'm smarter than you. That's just really not a good attitude. And the majority of people, I understand, probably aren't like this, but some people, you just really have to take a look at yourself and just ask if your attitude's holding you back. It just comes down to positivity and humility and just not being afraid to admit that, there's stuff that you don't know, okay? And even when you do know something, if you understand a certain type of question, that's great, that's terrific. Don't get a big ego, don't feel high and mighty about it, because there's other topics that you probably aren't going to get. And so, you want to be confident, but you don't want to go into your test thinking that it's just going to be easy, that it's going to be a cakewalk. And another problem that I see with people, and this usually comes with people that for whatever reason, like, they think that they're too smart to be doing this. They think, oh, well, I took, Chem AP and Bio AP, and I took all these, like, hard classes in high school. Like, I don't know why I'm even taking the GED test. I don't know why I don't need to do this. I can skip this and go right to college. And it's kind of like, that's just really, really a bad attitude. If the GED test is easy for you, then fantastic. That's great. Get it and move on to the next phase of your life. If that's, the situation that you're in. But it's kind of like, hey, look, you still have to do it. So, if you think you're too good for it, you think you're too high and mighty for it, that's just really the wrong kind of attitude. Like, nothing good is going to come out of that attitude. So the point here is that you want to be confident, but you also have to be humble. And if there are questions that are easy for you or certain topics that are easy for you, be humble about it. Don't feel high and mighty and feel arrogant or feel like you're too good to be doing this, okay? Because the simple truth is that you do have to do it. If your goal is to pass the GED, whether you want to go to college or get a better job, if you're trying to pass the GED, okay, you have to get through this to move on to the next phase of your life. So, sitting here and thinking you're high and mighty and, you're too good for this and you understand this and you understand that and things are too easy for you, it's like, if you see practice problems that are too easy for you, be humble and be grateful for it. Don't spend all your time on stuff that's easy, right? You got to also work on hard questions, but don't think that you're better. Don't think that you're too smart, because, that kind of attitude is usually what leads to just getting demolished when you actually go in to take the real test, guys. So really, there's a couple things in this video. Then these are some harsh truths, some harsh things that hold people back. Really what it comes down to is just, again, attitude, having a positive attitude and expecting that things are going to go positively in the long run. And you want to be realistic about where you're at. That doesn't mean delude yourself and go take the test tomorrow if you're not ready. It just means try to have a positive attitude. Look at it with the glass half full rather than the glass half empty, okay? Also, be realistic about the amount of time it's going to take to pass. If you've only got a couple hours a week, or even if you've only got 5 or 6 hours a week to study, don't expect to be done in a couple weeks, okay? Don't look at people who are passing in a couple weeks and think that you have to be just like them, because like I said, there are many reasons why people are able to pass fast, but not many people are able to do that because they don't have enough time to put in. And even if they do have the time to put in, they don't have the discipline, the focus, the organization to do it. And some people, it's just going to take them a longer time. And it's not necessarily that you're that you're not as smart as other people that can pass faster. Doesn't usually have much to do with it. It's just some people just understand how to take information from books and from videos and put it all together and pull it all together and go in and do what they're supposed to do to pass. See, other people, it just takes them some time, okay, to be able to put it all together like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it takes you however long it takes you to pass. Don't worry about other people, okay? Just take it a day at a time and just be more realistic. If you're thinking you're going to be done in just a couple days or in just a couple weeks, all right? If you're really struggling, then just be realistic and be honest with yourself that it might take you a lot longer. And then another thing is, like I said, just to kind of recap here, is understand that you have to understand every single thing if you want to pass the GED with a high score. Even if you just want to pass, this is still true, okay? If I show you, an example of adding fractions, then you say, that's easy, I know how to do that. It's like, okay, good, I hope that you do. But if I give you, a different question that's going to look a little bit different, if I give you some, let's say, for example, I give you some decimals, some numbers with decimals, and I say, okay, take these decimals, convert them to fractions, and then add, and then do this, and then do that. It's kind of like then all of a sudden people don't know how to do it. And it's like, it all comes down to that humility again. If you see something that you think is easy for you, then good, be grateful for it. Let it boost your confidence going into the test. But don't be arrogant, don't be high and mighty, because you're probably just going to get slapped back down by some other harder problems that are going to come along later on down the line. So make sure you understand everything, not just a couple questions here or there. Not just if you can watch my video or watch a different video on YouTube and follow somebody along where they're showing you how to do the question, or even try a practice problem in your book and go to the back of the book and say, okay, like I understand how to get that one question. Well, again, that one question is probably not showing up on your test. So it's good that you're able to get certain questions right, but you have to make sure that you really understand that whole topic, not just how to do any one question. Because if you just understand how to do one question on a practice test, and you look at a practice test and you think, okay, I understand how to do this question, it's like, that's terrific, but that question is not going to come up again. So it's the topic. It's the topic. You have to understand that whole entire topic. And I've repeated the word topic a bunch of times here because I want to drive it home, that you have to really understand the whole topic behind each question in most cases, if you want to score really, really well, and even if you want to just pass in many cases, okay? And so also, guys, just make sure that you're focused and you're serious, and when you get things that are easy for you, have a good attitude, okay? Be confident, but don't get high and mighty. Don't get big-headed. Don't think you're too good for the GED. Don't think you're too smart. Don't think that you should be, 20 steps ahead in your life. You got to do the best with where you're at in your life right now. Don't try to skip 30 steps ahead and say, I'm too good to be doing the GED, At high school, I was smart. I just slacked off. It's like, yeah, you may have been very smart. Okay, you probably did underperform. A lot of GED test takers, that's the case with them. They are actually very intelligent. It's just that for whatever reason, high school didn't work out for them. Usually it's not their fault. It could be due to illness or bullying sometimes, or family situations, or living in poverty, all kinds of situations that people go through that I really admire, because a lot of people just go through terrible situations. But at the end of the day, you got to remember though that it doesn't matter how smart you are, okay? A lot of people that are smart underperform, okay? But don't think that even because you're really smart, don't think that you don't still have to stop and study for the GED test. That's not the way it works, okay? It's not, oh, just because, hey, I was smart in high school, but I just didn't do well because I had to leave. I didn't care. I didn't pay attention. I had to leave because of this reason and that reason. I couldn't focus because things were going on at home, okay? And that all may be true, but don't think that, hey, you're too smart to be doing the GED and you're high and mighty and this and that, okay? If you have to do the GED to get on with your life, then you got to do the best with where you're at in your life, and feeling like you're high and mighty and you're too good to be doing this is just not going to work. It's not going to get you anywhere, okay? So be humble and just be honest and be realistic and try to help other people. And when you see questions that are easy, be grateful for them. Understand that most of the questions on the test are going to be challenging, but you will get some easy questions if you're well prepared. So be humble, and I wish you guys the best of luck here. This is Parker from Test Prep Champions. Good luck to you.